Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today we're talking about 3 easy steps that you need to take so that you know exactly how to invest in your TSP. This topic has been way overcomplicated and we're going to simplify it today for you. So if you're new here, welcome. Great to have you. My name is Dallin Hawes. I'm a financial planner who serves federal employees just like you every single day, and I absolutely love it. So again, we're talking about the thrift savings plan. And if you read online on how you should be investing, you're going to get 1,001 answers that are contradicting, that are confusing. We're going to get rid of all of that today. Just throw all of that nonsense out. We're going to simplify this for you. So again, 3 easy steps that you need to follow for you to be confident in how you're investing the TSP. Okay? Step number one. Step number one is you have to understand the very basics of the TSP funds. All you have to know to get started is which funds are the safer ones and which funds are the more aggressive funds, okay? So if you don't know this already, get your pencil and pen out or type it into your phone, whatever you need to. The G fund and the F fund, okay? F as in Frank, G fund and the F fund, those funds are the safer funds. Those are more conservative, okay? The other 3, the C, S, and I, those are the more aggressive ones. So if you just understand that, you don't really have to know more about any of them. If you want to know more, great, but that's the basics to understand to get you started. Once you know that, which ones are relatively safe and which ones are a little more aggressive, then we could build off from there. Okay, so first understand that, and then let's go to step 2. But actually, right before we go to step 2, many people ask, what about the L funds? Well, the L funds are just a combination of the 5 core funds I've already mentioned. So if you want to know what your L fund is made of, just go to, if you just type in L2030 or L2055 or whatever L fund you're in, if you Google that, you'll find, it'll take you to the TSP website. It'll show you the mix of the other investments it has in it to make up the L fund you're in. So go check that out, okay? Now, that was step number 1. Step number 2 is easy. Step number 2 is, when do you need your TSP? When do you need the money? Okay? Most people, when they think about their TSP, they think about, when am I retiring? Okay? But that's not the question to answer. The real question is, when do you need the money? Let's say you're 5 years from retirement, but at retirement time, you think your pension and Social Security is going to be big enough, you're not going to need your TSP. Or maybe you want your TSP to go to your kids one day, or whatever it is. The question is not when you're retiring, but when you need the money, okay? You have to answer that question, at least have a rough idea of when you need it, okay? If you're planning to retire and you want to start using some of it, great, start using some of it. When do you start needing money from your TSP? That is a very important date to know, okay? So again, step number 1, understand what's safe and what's aggressive within the TSP. Step number 2 is, when do you need the money, okay? Step number 3, as a general rule, if you need money from the thrift savings plan within the next 8 years, so for example, let's say you are retiring in 5 years and you are going to start drawing on the TSP right at retirement. Well, the next 5, you don't need it, but the next 3 after that, you would need it. So you need some of your TSP within the next 8. Even if you're 5 years out from retirement, the next 5 you're fine, but the following 3 you might need some, okay? How much money do you need from the thrift in the next 8 years? That's the question. If you're 20 years from retirement, you don't need any in the next 8 years. You're still working, okay? You don't need it. How much money, that's question number 3, is how much of the TSP do you need in the next 8 years, okay? Once you know that, so let's do an example. Let's say you're retiring tomorrow and you're planning to use some of the TSP in retirement. Let's say you have $500,000 in the TSP. And then in the first 8 years of retirement, you're going to use, let's say, 100,000 of it. Okay, great. You know you need about 100 grand for the first 8 years. Great, that's perfect, right? So basically, you need to, for step number 3, is once you know how much money you need in the next 8 years, then you need to put that money in something that's safe. Okay? The G fund and the F fund are the good, safe ones. Okay? You want to split it up between the G and F, depending on when you need it. Okay. Again, step number 1, understand which funds in the TSP are safe and aggressive. The G fund and the F fund are the safer ones. The CS and I are the more aggressive. Okay. Understand that. Step number 2, when do you need the money? And then you take the money you need in the next 8-ish years, okay, 8-ish years, and you want at least that amount of money to be in the safer funds. Okay? Any money you don't need for 8+ years, you have more time for that money, so it can be in the more aggressive funds like the CS&I funds to continue growing. Okay? So, even at retirement, let me kind of recap. Even at retirement, you shouldn't have all your money in the safe funds because you don't need all of it soon. You only need some of it in the next 8 years. Okay? I mean, maybe you're planning to use your entire TSP in the first 8 years of retirement, but maybe not, right? How much are you planning to use roughly? It doesn't have to be exact. How much are you planning to use roughly in the next 8 years? And that should be safe. So, for example, if you're 20 years old, well, you don't need any of that in the next 8 years. I sure hope so. Hope not. And so, basically, all of your money should be aggressive, should be growing over time. Okay? So, is this a one-size-fits-all for everyone? No, there's always exceptions to these rules. But in efforts to simplify this topic that can get so overcomplicated, this is a great way to approach investing in the TSP. Know which funds are safe and aggressive. Figure out at least a rough idea of when you need the money, and any money you need in the next 8-ish years should be relatively safe. Okay? And the rest of the money should be more aggressive. CS&I. And between the CS&I, you want to focus on the C fund. That's where most of your aggressive money should be, roughly speaking. Okay? There's always exceptions, but roughly speaking, that is a good rule of thumb to get you started. Now, if you want more in-depth information, I've got other videos that goes over some of the reasoning behind some of this. But again, if you're one of those people that says, no, just tell me what to do and I'll do it, if you just follow the advice in this video, you're going to be ahead of so many federal employees that don't know where to start, or maybe that are stuck in an L fund not knowing what they're doing. Okay? So I hope that's helpful. Hopefully that gives you a start, an idea of how to get started with your investments to start trying to get the most out of them. So if you have any questions, there's a link in the description below to submit those. We base our future content on those questions. There's also tons of other free resources in the description below. Have a great day. I'll see you guys next time.